While You Were Sleeping Episodes 20 Part 2 Inches. He doesn't understand, so she says that she almost killed him that day that she hesitated to pull him up from the water. It was a brief moment, but she says she almost let him die because she was so mad at that Ajishi that she thought it wouldn't matter if Jae-chan died with him. She says that when he came out of the water, it was hell, and that she thought she'd killed him. She says that her hands still shake whenever she thinks of that day, and that it's no excuse, but she had lost someone she loved so much. The empty space he left behind was so big I couldn't stand it, and I filled it with rage, and regret remained like a scar. To me, you 13 years ago are a wound and a scar, she says. Jae-chan is so distracted with thoughts of Hongju that he forgets all about his appointment to meet the shooter, and Hee-minute grits her teeth in annoyance. She looks wary when he stands before the dying man with a notebook full of case notes like he's preparing to argue in court. Jae-chan begins to outline the evidence, but then he thinks back to what Hongju said to him about how her loss was so big that she could only fill it with rage, and he closes his notebook. He says that he understands why the archer's father was so heartbroken and needed someone to hate, thinking that someone had murdered his daughter. But he says that he interviewed a lot of people about his daughter, and every single one of them only had nice things to say about her, including prime suspect Ha-kyung. Jae-chan says that his daughter was kind and loved, and that was the biggest evidence to him that she wasn't murdered, and he wanted her father to know that. The old man bursts into tears in response, and his wife stops Jae-chan out in the hall to bow an apology for what her husband did. She asks if he'll leave his notebook with her, since she would like to hear what he has to say, and thanks him for speaking well of their daughter. As they walk out, Hee-minute asks why Jae-chan changed his mind and softened, knowing that he initially planned to go in there and argue. Jae-chan thinks it over and comes to the sudden realization, I remembered that I'm not any better. Has already talking about something else entirely, of course, and yanks the 4-needle out of his arm before running off. At the same time, Hongju dozes off in a taxi, and when she wakes up, she asks the driver to head back to the hospital. Jae-chan pulls on some clothes and goes running into the rain despite doubling over in pain every few feet, and is shocked when Hongju comes up to him with an umbrella. She nags him for coming out in the rain in his condition when he had no idea where she was, and he guesses that she saw him in a dream. She says he wandered the streets looking for her in her dream, getting soaked while he had a fever. We see him going from Mom's restaurant to her house, bleeding from his wound and barely standing. He smiles and asks if he found her in the dream, and she says he did, but half dead. In the dream, Shed found him at the bus stop and dropped her umbrella to run over to him. In the background, the bus has a sign for the movie Boy Meets Girl, and a bus stop poster has the lines from Kim Wong-sub's poem At Night, Me and You, wherever we are whatever we become, we'll meet again. Jae-chan asks if she saw in her dream what he said to her after they met. Back in the dream, said that he was the same as her 13 years ago, though it was just a brief moment before he entered the water. He hesitated and debated not saving that Ajishi, because he was just as angry as she was. He tells her now that he struggled with that for a long time, just like she did, and that forgotten that scar until she helped him remember it. but he says that in the end, they made choices. He dove into the water and she pulled the rope. He asks if he said the same thing in her dream, and she nods, adding that he also told her to stop avoiding him and disappearing when he wanted to find her, calling her dog poop like usual. "So what did you say in response?" he asks. The present intercuts with Hongju's dream as she reaches up to touch his face and kisses him the same exact way both times. He smiles and pulls his hood back to kiss her properly, and the screen splits in two, showing simultaneous kisses in reality and in Hongju's dream, as they get lost in the moment. He says with a smile in the dream, "It's nice to meet you again, Nam Hongju." And she replies in the present, "It's nice to see you again, Yong-jae-chan."